On the night of September 12th, we started on our hunt for action along the muddiest road I ever saw. On the last leg of the hike, we passed the French and American artillery, which were pounding on the forts around Metz. It sounded like hell had broken loose. There were 2,500 guns of all sizes on a 20-kilometer front, and the orders were to fire at will, and those boys sure were loading fast. We passed so close to the guns at times that we could feel the heat from the discharge, and the roar was enough to shatter one's nerve. We moved up again on the heels of the 6th and 11th Infantry, who were holding the old German lines. The division had several tanks, which cut through the barbed wire and made a passage for the troops. We leapfrogged the 10th Brigade on the night of September 15th and took our place in the lines. I had to cross an open field, then through the woods, which were being continually shelled with gas, although I was not aware of it at the time. It made me feel rather dead and dopey. On the 18th, we drew our first real chow since the 10th. Meat, spuds, onions, bread, and coffee. It looked good, but it didn't taste right, and the food came up as fast as it went down. The trouble was, with the gas I had inhaled, it had filled my lungs and stomach. At 3 that afternoon, the first order came. Over and at 'em! But then HQ had a radio message to hold. Runners were called for, and we rushed out to stop the companies before they got started. If we had been late, it would have been a complete sweep for the Germans and a terrible loss for our side. We had but 10 minutes to make the trip, which was half a mile. I never made better time, over the shell-torn ground and through a barrage at the edge of the woods. I reached the last company just as Lieutenant Brown was ordering his men to start. I tossed away my rifle and belt at the start. Oh, this was the closest shave I ever had. That night, we were relieved by the 78th Division, green troops who promptly lost what ground we had gained. Afterwards, I was in bed with fever and gas poisoning for 3 days and got a real rest. On September 28th, we hiked to Charmes-la-Côte. On the 3rd of October, we rode on trucks with Indo-Chinese for drivers and arrived just north of Verdun. We could hear the battle raging in front of us. Saw troops, trucks, and ambulances rushing to the front. Saw the airplanes. Saw the observation balloons at their work. It looked as though we were in for it. The Germans had a good line on where we were and kept things pretty warm with their barrages and long-distance bombardments. At the edge of the woods at Madeline Farm, we went over the top at about 5 a.m. From October 11th to the 18th, our losses were terrible. Lieutenant Brown and Vincent were injured. Major Rivet and Sergeant Stanton were killed by snipers. Watson, Castrigino, and McCabe were killed in one dugout when a high-explosive shell landed in the hole. I'd been in that hole with them not 5 minutes before. The woods were full of light artillery, firing almost point blank, and machine guns every few hundred feet. The front, as well as the back areas, were being shelled continually. The sights that one saw every minute were terrible. We moved back for 2 days, about half a mile in the rear of the line. Our company was all shot. Out of the 150 men who had entered, only 72 were left.